Welcome back, Panther fans. I'm David Brown along with Ryan Graham.
Hey, yo.
And Justin or Jordan or whatever. And this is State of Atlanta. So if you guys
you got to do something about that font for the date. It was all
I saw that. I noticed it, but it hasn't bothered me too much, so I don't know anything about it. Yeah, so Justin, thanks for joining us. If you're watching the video stream or the YouTube broadcast, his name is listed as Justin or Jordan or whatever. Then it's because I know his name is Justin, but drunk me does not know that name. And so whenever I see him, I say, Jordan, what's up, buddy? This is my best friend, Jordan, to everyone. And I'm like introducing him to everyone as Jordan. He's too nice of a guy to actually correct me. So I said I would bring him on the show and he can take as many pot shots as he wants at me not knowing what his name is at all. So,
honestly, it's better than me. I was like, oh, is that one of the Charlotte guys? And you were like, no, it's the EMS guy, the firefighter guy. And I was like, I know exactly who you're talking about. And you were like, he was hanging out with us at the game on Saturday. And I was like, I do not remember that part.
Well, if you do the game right, you don't remember most of it. So
that's how I was complaining to David about the 12 o'clock kick time. But I was like, but it didn't really stop me from getting like really wasted. So
no, yeah. Well, I don't think I got super wasted. I mean, I was able to drive home and be able to be a functioning parent and husband that afternoon and everything. But
I took a 2-hour nap when I got home.
I think a lot of my buzz came from just that game. It was just an intense game and the excitement. Plus, that was my first real outing out of the house during this whole pandemic thing. So just being around people, socializing with people was a big part of the high for me. But let's talk about this game. We had no idea what to predict out of this Georgia State team at all. And out of the gate, we're up 14-0. Like I say out of the gate, it was like the end of the first quarter when we get the first touchdown. But we go up 14-0 against what I was told was the number 19 ranked team in the nation. What do you think?
That's because we're right up there with them.
Yeah, I was impressed. I kind of had low expectations for the season. You know, we're all in the off season. Who's going to be our quarterback? Who's going to start? All these questions, and they all answered. Looked really strong coming in off a win off of Alabama, so I appreciated that.
Exactly. So it was a tiny crowd. It was a tiny crowd at the stadium, but I don't think it was smaller than what I necessarily expected it to be. It seemed to be just about right. There were probably more.
I wasn't like surprised by what I saw, not like at all. When I looked around, I noticed it was sparse, but I sort of was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, when I got there, I parked in the green lot and I walked over to Halfway Crooks to meet some of my buddies before going over to your place, Ryan. And I noticed standing at that ticket gate, there were a lot of Raging Cajun fans there. And I was like, I know there's only so many that can get into this game, but I was a little nervous about what their presence was going to be like. And there was far more over there in that visiting sideline than I expected. But it wasn't that bad. It wasn't noticeable to me. I felt like the crowd noise was in our favor the entire time.
Yeah, I don't know what they could hear on the field. I mean, like I said, it was pretty sparsely populated, and we expected that, and it's no cut against us at that point. But I tried to be loud, and I was like, why am I? I remember thinking in my head, like, what am I even wasting my breath for? Like nobody knows I'm doing this down there on the field.
At least we're not piping crowd noise in like the NFL and all the other sports are.
Yeah, I did not go back and watch the game replay. I have it recorded still. I have not watched it. I'm wondering whether there was actually crowd noise on during the game you could hear on TV, but
we could hear the band real well. It was on earlier today, so we fired it up. So the band was real well. You could hear like the roar in the background, but it wasn't like you couldn't hear individual people screaming, which is probably good. Like tend to get kind of blue at the games.
So Justin, what did you think of our quarterback play? We made a comment about not knowing what was going to happen, and Quad came out there and put on a show, didn't he?
Quad stepped up. I expected Quad to take off his mask and have Dan Ellington sitting there with some of the runs he made, like Scooby-Doo style, straight up, like, hey, I'm still here, guys. I was very impressed with Quad's command of the game. It took him a little while to get the passing game on, but what doesn't show on TV is that he was passing into a pretty messed up crosswind for that first quarter, and then when we turned around and it went with us, he started connecting a lot more. So he earned the job. He's won me over. We have a redshirt freshman, and we have him for hopefully 4 more years.
Yeah.
See him grow.
I wouldn't be comparing him so quickly to Dan Ellington. Jesus, man, that's
not like straight up all the time, but there's a couple of those cuts he made that where I could see who was coaching him and who taught him a few tricks at least.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so it pretty much was the Quad Brown and the Destin coach show. I mean, there was a touchdown by one of the other running backs who I apologize to that running back, but there was only three rushing attempts by anybody other than Quad and Destin. So do you think that we can live off of one running back for a few games there, Ryan?
Well, yeah, Coates with 150 yards is impressive. I mean, Louisiana's running back had, I think, 200 yards, but I was pretty excited to see that, and it seemed like our offense in general was pretty well-rounded. We were able to do a lot of the things we wanted to do kind of whenever we wanted to do it. And our defense, though, they're the ones. I mean, you say it's it was the Coates quad show, but I think our defense really stepped up and did what they had to do to like make it a game. If it wasn't for them stepping up, we'd have been screwed there. I mean, our defense really, really surprised me out of the gate. So
yeah, the second half, it was a tale of two defenses between the two halves. We definitely came out and put on a show in the first half, and I don't know if it was just being worn out or tired or Lafayette figuring some stuff out, but we obviously gave up the game there in the second half. I mean, there's some play calling that's questionable in there as well. So
they made some adjustments.
Defense definitely did step up. We saw something completely different out of that defense that we've seen for the past couple of years.
Well, and one of the big things I noticed was there were some big plays there from Louisiana in the second half, but they would make big plays and then not score on that drive. So like they'd go and make this giant run, and then we'd still stop them. So we were giving up some big plays. It was kind of like a bend don't break defense, which I'm cool with.
Right, and that's actually what I told the Rage and Review podcast guys when I did the interview with them. Was they were going to get some yards, but I was not expecting them to get a lot of touchdowns off those yards. And they put up, I don't want to get into the stats here, but they put up like 500 something yards, which typically you put up 500 yards, yeah, you win the game, but it's a blowout. This was an overtime win, again with some questionable play calling there at the end of the game. That game, I mean, it should have been ours. You play the game for a reason and everything, but that game should have been ours halfway through it. So it was a bad week in Atlanta for Atlanta football teams.
Well, we're not the worst. We're not the best.
Compare ourselves to the travesty that happened the next day.
Oh God, yeah.
Well, it's my friend Terry. It's all her fault. She was there with us at the game, and we're doing great. We're doing awesome. She decides to leave the game to go to Georgia Tech to watch their UCF game. And that's when Georgia State collapsed. Georgia Tech got absolutely pummeled. And then the next morning she flew to Dallas to watch the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, my God. So she's our good luck charm, but everybody else's bane?
She lost her good luck charm somewhere in the Uber ride over to North Avenue. I don't know what it may have been, but we'll bring her back to the next home game, and we'll lock. If we're winning, we're gonna lock her down to her seat so she can't get up and go. Yeah. So how are you guys feeling about the team now? Like going into the season? So we had these question marks. We saw some other things happen in the rest of the league. How are you feeling, Ryan, about this team this season?
No, I'm feeling good. Like I said, when I see a solid defense come out there and like really put us in the game, I feel like Quad was able to manage the game really well. I wouldn't put him up on the pedestal with Dan, but he was definitely like making his passes as conservative as they might have been, and he was able to be like quick on his feet, and our offense seemed like it was working well, and so like I think we can beat a lot of teams in the league, which is cool.
Yeah, I think we only have we have a limited schedule. It's only 2 out of conference games, and we're heading into both of those in the next 2 weeks. Justin, I know as fans, we never want to say that we're going to lose a game. We're going to go head up to Ohio State, and we're going to say that well, if this happens, we have a shot at taking them down. But so I know that bias. I got it living inside of me as well. But honestly, looking at our schedule we have for the rest of the season. What team are you honestly scared of? Like that you're really, really afraid of? Because App State showed their weakness.
Yeah.
We've already played Lafayette. Who are you scared of the rest of the season?
Lafayette was the one I was scared of. I'm always kind of scared about App State. They just seem to have our number for some reason. They just always kind of have. We haven't had a good showing against them yet. Last year we had some injury troubles that hurt our showing.
Right.
But in terms of everyone else, it's kind of cliche to say, but there's not a game on that schedule that's not winnable. If we show up like we did, there's obviously questions. You always have questions. I could have told you last year that Coates was going to show up big. It just does worry me to have one running back because that's probably the most injury-prone position you've got.
Well, hopefully Seth Page is able to make it back, or we do start splitting up the runs to some other guys. But it's a weird question to ask, and whoever wants to answer it, is this the best loss in the Panther history? It sucks to have lost the game. And we had the game against Wisconsin. That was a pretty horrific loss, but that was more like a just shock to the system that it was. This was a game we came out and just played hard-nosed football for 4 quarters and lost the game. It's a good loss to have to start the season, right?
Yeah, it shows where we're at. It shows that we're, you expect to come in here and walk over us. You're not going to. Our defense will show up. I think that fourth quarter, there were 2 big defensive stands where I'm like, all right, that's the turning point of the game. This is going to shift our momentum. We pushed them straight out of field goal range, stalled on the offense, and then the next time we held them on a 4 and out, had the ball back and didn't go for it on 4th.
Yeah, there was something that someone said. I can't remember if it was on Panther Talk or on the Sunbelt board or whatever. But the question was, where is Georgia State? How far of a gap is there between Georgia State and the top of the Sunbelt? And we know the answer to that, and it's 3 points.
Yeah.
So I'm totally stealing that. I'm admitting that I stole it. Prue has a question for us. Did they have new uniforms? Prue, you were at the game, dude.
We saw you.
We saw you there.
Well, obviously he saw the uniforms and thought they looked a little funny. So
yeah, they got stripes now.
We do know that they were newish, right? They had the stripes on the shoulder pads. Is that right? Is that what you had mentioned? Yeah,
the stripes on the sleeves, stripes on the sleeves.
Yeah.
So there was a new uniform release that came out, I think on the Thursday before the game, and I had that to talk about, which might as well talk about it right now. One of the big thing that I really didn't like, there's 2 things I didn't like about the new uniforms, and one was replacing the Georgia State over the numbers up front with a smaller version of that Georgia State word mark. They love, I don't know what their obsession is with that word mark. They want to slap that word mark on everything, while every single fan is like, I want Pantherhead and Pantherhead only on stuff. And
GSU, because it pisses off that school that thinks they're called that.
Exactly. But then also the other thing that I didn't like was on their helmets. In the release video they did, one side of the helmet was at the Pantherhead, so thumbs up. On the other side should have been the Pantherhead, but no, it said Panthers and had their number in 6. Or sorry, number in 6. It was 6 was in the video. Number in red. And I was not a fan of it was a new font or a new logo of Panthers. It was different. It was not what I was expecting.
Was it Sparks?
Yeah, it was Sparks. But that's not what they did. When they came out in the game, it was their blue uniforms. It did have the Georgia State word mark above the numbers, which, whatever. I can get over that. But it did not have the Panthers and the number on the helmets. It had just Pantherhead on both sides. So they have got a stay of execution for me. We'll see what they drag out to Charlotte on Saturday and see if how I'm feeling about the uniforms next week.
You know what I hope for though, with the away team is the all whites.
Yes.
Just all white from head to toe. I love the all one color from head to toe, the best of any of them. And then if they want to do a white shirt and blue breeches, I'll take it, I guess.
I do like the white helmet.
Ryan, I disagree with you. Pretty much just on principle most of the times. It's you say something I'm kind of iffy about, but no, I'm going to take the opposite position because normally you're wrong. But yeah, I agree. The all blue or the all white uniforms are by far the best we have. But I will switch it up on you and say, if you're going to switch out one of the components, switch out the helmet. So if you want to give me all white with blue helmets or all blue with white helmets, that's the next level of hotness.
I actually think if you do the white shirt, you got to do blue helmet, blue breeches. You got to do blue both of them. Otherwise, it looks a little weird. But all white definitely is the better.
Well, you look a little weird too. So
That's
I've
fine.
always liked our white
I'm
helmets.
wearing
The
black
more
today,
we-
man. I'm in somber mode. You know, I'm in sad we lost mode.
you're missing out on having that number 19 ranking in the nation right now.
We were not going to get ranked, dude.
No, we were not
I
gonna
keep
get
trying
ranked.
to tell you guys that.
I did expect them to. Well, if we had beaten them, they would have dropped in the ranking or out of the rankings.
Oh yeah, we would not have gotten into it.
With that loss, I did expect them to actually drop a little bit. I didn't expect them to stay at 19. I thought they would fall a spot or two, just kind of showing a weakness in the program. But not a lot of games being played. I guess there's 19. Congratulations, you survived Georgia State of all teams to remain your number 19 ranking in the nation.
Yeah. Does Big Ten start next week?
No, Big Ten doesn't start for a while, like October, which is only like
Oh, so they're not just going to start immediately. Okay.
No, but SEC does start this week.
Well, they were ranked though still, right? Because they were still like part of the season.
They had games on the schedule, so they got ranked in the preseason polls and kind of carried over, which I understand, but I think is BS and completely BS.
I mean, I get it. We talked about this in previous weeks. I sort of understand that one, but the Big Ten, I'm sort of worried about them jumping in.
They did not get included in one of the polls. I can't remember if it was coaches or if it was the Associated Press. They didn't get included in one of them. The other one they did.
Who?
The Big Ten teams.
Okay.
Yeah. Which did keep. I think Lafayette moved down to like 24th or 25th or something in that poll.
Yeah, that's BS. If they're not, especially if they're not playing until later next month. Like, come on, man. Like, they're not playing this season. Like, kick them out. They don't rank them.
No one cares how good you were last season. If you're not playing football, you don't get ranked.
That's right. You are the worst
last
team
year
in the world if you're not playing the game.
Yeah, again, Ryan, I don't know what's going on right now. We walked through some portal, but yeah, I agree with you completely. If you're not playing the game, if we're 3 weeks into the college football season and you've not played a game yet, you deserve to be on no rankings.
You're as good as me and David. I mean,
yeah.
So
we may as well rank us.
We have preseason rankings for when everyone is 0-0, and then after the first week of football comes out. Then they don't win those week 0 games, the ones that are like the I don't know, Nevada playing Hawaii in Australia or whatever the hell comes out. We don't get a week 0 updated ranking. We don't get that kind of crap. It's after the week 1 games and everybody's played their game. So
right, exactly.
If I cared enough, I would put together my own poll, but I don't know nearly enough about football to do that, and I care even less about every other team out there. So
just rank us number 1 and say everyone else doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter. Like, we're not playing, but we know we're the best. So like, we just put ourselves number 1 through 25. We're good.
It's the best team I've seen played at home this season.
Yeah.
In person.
That's too much information.
It's like a Bob Uecker kind of thing. On Tuesdays in the month of May. Here you go. Ryan Reed watching. Big Ten is like someone holding your place in line at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Like, I forgot the kid's milk. I'll be right back.
Wow, everybody really hates that guy. Yeah. That was like on the nose. That's perfect.
I mean, your kid can stand there all they want. When they get there with the credit card, they're just gonna be like, "What?" So yeah, it's a good analogy right there.
That actually did happen to me this past week. But what I did was I bought all of my stuff and then just asked to leave my cart there as I went and got. I think it literally was the milk that I had to go back and get. Yeah. That's why it's close to home. I do want to brag about myself because I don't do enough talk about how great I am, especially when it comes to college sports and this whole thing here. But I did do that Rage and Review interview with the Lafayette podcast guys. And, of course, they all did their predictions. And I didn't give a blatant prediction. I'm not one to pick out numbers out of the air. But they predicted all like big lopsided wins by Lafayette, 34-13, 35-20, 42-14. But what I am on record as saying is both teams score in the 30s. So I won that one. That's a point in my favor, right? Those three guys that have nothing better to do in their lives but live in Lafayette and watch Lafayette football could not figure out exactly what the game was going to be. And I live here in Atlanta with the plethora of things there to do in the beautiful city of Atlanta.
I mean, my win by 10 is better than any of those, I think.
I was actually just on the podcast for Charlotte 49er guys, Minor Obsession, and actually was my prediction 10. We win by 10. I don't know.
Wait, no, that's a really good podcast name. I like it a lot. Minor Obsession. That's awesome.
Yes, I'll be posting a link to that interview as they release it, probably tomorrow. I assume tomorrow. It was a good time. It's a good couple of guys, and I think that's what we're going to talk about. Charlotte here in a little bit. That's a rivalry that I think could naturally develop. They don't really have a real natural rival like we had built in with Georgia Southern when we moved up to football or started football. So I think that when we have a 4-game series coming up, that could be fun. But before we get into that, I just want to make fun of talk about the other Sun Belt teams that played over the week. Actually, it was a pretty good showing for Sun Belt in general. Coastal showed us how much better of a football team than Georgia Southern. They beat up on Campbell 43-21.
That's great news. I'm sorry. That shouldn't have made me like giggle like it did, but that just tickled me right, you know.
Troy put the hurt on Middle Tennessee, 47-14. Maybe that's the game that Rage and Review guy was talking about.
Nice.
And then Texas State, who I'm glad we're not playing this season. That's the one Sun Belt team we're not playing this season. I'm glad we're not. They got their first win, but they've looked good all season. It was a 38-17 win over Monroe. So
I don't know. I don't know what you're doing
last year and beat us. I don't want to play them this year when they're good. So
they've been they've gotten progressively better.
Yeah, we lost against them when Dan went out in the middle of the game.
No, we didn't. We got week 3 of the season, week 4 of the season after losing to Western Michigan the week before.
Oh yeah, that one was another one of those ugly overtime ones.
Monroe
here for ULM. No, for Texas.
Yeah, ULM was when Dan got injured.
Yeah. I went ULM. My brain. Okay. I told you 2 hours ago I was drunk.
Yes. Yeah, you're actually handling yourself far better than I expected right now. So that's not to say that it's good, but it's just better than I expected. Expectations are always very, very low.
I tried to set them way low so I can, shoot over them.
The big surprise over the season of last week was Appalachian State showed their vulnerability and they lost to Marshall pretty handily, 17-7. Was that right score? I thought it was more than that, but 17-7. So an App State loss. You don't see that very often. Makes me feel a lot better about playing them later in the season.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of coverage talking about how App State might be slipping this season and all that. So, worse things have happened, but I think the Louisiana guys. Oh man, oops, the ooh la la guys had a good point that when App State looks good, we all look good. I would like them to win every single one of their games except for ours, and which has sadly not been the case thus far. But
I take that. I disagree. Well, I obviously disagree with that. But when I'm standing next to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, no one's ever said David looks better than he normally does. I just always kind of sympathize with we need to have a buzzer for bad jokes, just like an airplane going over your head or something like that. Womp womp womp.
No, but if you got put into a ring with The Rock and then you beat him, you would look phenomenal.
No, but if I got put into a ring with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and he beat the hell out of somebody else, no one's going to say David did pretty good there.
No. He beat the hell out of somebody else and then you beat him. You'd look great.
All right.
Or he beat you less. Maybe
you beat him has to happen.
Yeah. If he knocks out someone bigger than you and then you just wins on the decision against you, I guess.
I understand the logic. I was trying to make a joke, and either I'm not funny or you guys don't have a funny bone in your system.
Sometimes you're funny. This time, I think you have failed.
Yeah. So, Justin, what do you think about the App State taking it up the poop chute from Marshall?
It's good to finally see him lose one. I kind of always get along well with App State fans because at the end of the day, we can just all sit down and talk about how much we hate Southern.
Exactly. I was telling somebody else. I have respect for App State. They beat the hell out of us. I have respect for them. I don't like them, but I have respect for them because at the end of the day, they hate Southern more than they care about us whatsoever at all. So
I hate them less because of that. I'm not going to say I like them, but I hate them a lot less.
I like the culture too. I know that's going to sound weird, but I could see myself being an App State fan in a different world. And I like the color scheme, and I think they play like a good brand of football. I don't know. I like App State. I don't
like the color scheme. I don't like black and yellow teams or black and gold teams.
I just want to beat them.
I think it's hard for a G5 team to sustain success at that high of a level. And so maybe it's App State, coming down a little bit, or, maybe it's just a bad week for them. Who knows what's going on in that locker room or something. And they spring back. They still, after losing to Southern last year, they still spring back and played great for the rest of the season. Speaking of Southern, their game got canceled against Florida Atlantic. So the only game on their record still for the season is that loss to Campbell Camels, 1-point win to Campbell Camels. So,
I like how in your whole talk there, you never gave Marshall credit for just maybe they were a good team, right? You were like, App State may have gone through this problem, blah blah blah, but none of them was like, maybe Marshall was good.
They know how we feel for anything.
It's not my point to make Marshall fans feel good about themselves. You got an entire movie about your program. Granted,
everyone died.
That movie, but you got enough attention out there. I don't know. You guys are out there. You guys, Byron Leftwich. I'm sure there's a statue of him in whatever town in West Virginia that place. Is it Marshall? Is it Marshall, West Virginia? Is that where it is? I don't know.
Sure, let's go with that.
Yeah. Hey, Ryan, tell me to pause the video next time you take your glasses off. You look weird without them on.
I know. I was looking at it and I see my eyes like they're all like beady.
Yeah, so on to next week. I think we kind of killed that topic, right? On to next week. Charlotte 49ers. Yeah. So this is a game. It's first game of a 4-game series. It's it's there this year, here the next 2 years, and then the final game is back in Charlotte, which I like that order. We're 1-1 with them so far. They won the game here in the Georgia Dome forever ago. We beat the pants off of them 28-0 3 years ago up there in Charlotte. I was at that game, right? None of you guys went to that game, did you?
I didn't go. No,
I wasn't able.
Yeah, no, I went to that game. It's a small stadium. I mean, it literally seats 15,000. Like a sellout crowd is like just a hair over 15,000 people. So it's a small stadium.
It seems like a cool stadium though. It's like all indented into the earth. Like it's into it. It's like a pit.
Which I guess is actually what a lot of stadiums are like. You just don't realize it because the way you come in with the seats raising above, you don't realize that it's actually below ground a little bit.
But because it's so small, you really.
And I'm honestly not trying to put a dig
the ground over the walls.
I'm not trying to put a dig on the stadium whatsoever at all. It's what it was supposed to be. They built it with the intentions of expanding it later on, and they needed demand to do so. It's not there yet. I'm saying it was cool. I liked it. It was
to be fair, I was saying that too, that it's kind of interesting the way that they built it. Like I think it sounds like a cool idea, and it seems like it's cozy. Is it? I mean, is that right? I mean, it looks like it is.
Right. It's similar to if you've been to Kennesaw's football soccer field thing, whatever. It's like that, just amped up, another double the seating. They have a cool little grassy area over to the side where the students set up their tents and tailgate and everything. It was, I think it was probably a lot of the Greek system over there. I could be wrong on that. I don't know, but it's a neat little experience. And this was a game that before the world went to shit, I wanted to go to this season. Just, I love visiting Charlotte, and I had such a good time last time, and we won 28-0. But they are still not allowing fans in for this game whatsoever at all. So I say whatsoever at all. But what I mean is no fans out there, family may be able to come or some stuff like that, but they're not going to do the wide open thing. They're not even going to do what we allowed in the game, but they will be doing that later on. So it'll be a quiet game.
Just don't do the cutouts. So over the cardboard cutouts.
You like the cutout? I love the cutout.
No. It looks like an early 2000s video game where you do the crowd shots and it's just a bunch of little things bouncing up and down. And I'm like, this is weird.
I mean, so you have just enhanced the experience by tenfold, and they should do that. They should make them weird 8-bit characters, and they should have them on little mechanical things to make them do this all separate.
And there's only 15 different ones, and they're
right
across the thing. You can say that's the same one over here. It's the same
not like a block at 10 and repeat it.
Yeah.
I think that's what they used to do. There's like 10 fans, they just copy pasted.
I think we should have done the cardboard cutouts of the stadium, at least at some certain areas or some certain sections, just for fun. We talked about that on here, I believe.
I said we should do blow up dolls in the opposing section, but I don't think that's gonna fly.
Yeah.
So. They one thing that I thought was cool was that they moved the band over to the other side of the stadium. I know we're like getting back into the beginning of the podcast, but I thought it was cool. They put the band over there, and then they put the cheerleaders over there too, and they basically took up like that whole quarter of the stadium. And I thought the sound was still like really good, and the cheerleaders seemed like they were fine doing what they were doing, and seemed like a really good setup.
If you've talked to anybody that's been in the marching band that's played in stadiums, they always talk about how tight it is with the instruments and their stuff and everything. So I'm sure it's not the same experience they want to get out of it, but it probably was actually kind of a nice change of pace for a little bit. And I guess they did that because we were wondering why they moved the band. I'm guessing because that section goes back further. So they're able to get the entire band in there without spacing them out even further, without having to break them up to different sections or something like that. So I guess it makes sense. Yeah, you're right. It did work. And now they
seem like fewer people, but the sound was right.
They didn't have the train horn pointing at them, so they were doing good, right?
Yeah.
So back to the Charlotte here. They had a strong showing in their first week. They played App State and put up some good numbers until they just got similar to Georgia State versus Lafayette. Couldn't pull it out in the end there, but they got beat by a little bit more. I want to say it was a 2-score game and didn't go to overtime. But they played a pretty good game, but they lost their quarterback, or possibly lost their quarterback. According to the guys I talked to earlier, they're still holding out that there's a chance that he'll be playing. The tweet in the news came out and said that it was out indefinitely. I guess to Charlotte 49er fans, that means like he could still play.
Yeah, dude, that's not good news. Jesus. What's wrong with him? Does he have like torn ACL? Is it like a Dan Ellington thing?
They said
like out indefinitely, but Dan's like the only quarterback ever to have just like continued the season.
Right. No one's ever done. The news report that I saw said upper body injury. So I don't know if that's like, a torn bicep or something. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what upper body injury means. Like, my body hurts all the time in every different spot. I have an upper body injury when I,
upper body is like, where are we drawing the line? The waist? That's anything from like gas to a concussion. I mean, it's hard to really call it an upper body injury.
But no, you're the medical professional over here. You're the one that tells us what that is. I'm just saying, like, so many times you hear specifically what it is, and this one's kind of like the doctor was kind of like, he's like, it hurts here. He's like, upper body injury.
Yeah, right. It hurts everywhere, right?
Got the
out indefinitely.
Yeah. So they're trying to just keep it under wraps. Honestly, for teams like that, it's like this early in the season, can you get another year out of this guy, or you're going to send him out there to get injured even worse? Because if you play hurt and you get hit in just the wrong way, you're even more hurt than doubly hurt. It's not going to heal as fast, and you're going to be out.
Right.
Catastrophically.
They went out and got a backup quarterback this season. It's a guy, I think he came from JUCO or FCS. I'm not sure exactly. But he on paper has a lot of numbers. But the interesting thing was someone tweeted out that behind him, they do not have a scholarship quarterback on their team. So they entered the season with only 2 scholarship quarterbacks and lost the first one, a starting quarterback in the very first year after the very first game. So that's interesting. We'll see what's going to come out there. They have had 2 weeks to prepare because they had a game scheduled with UNC last week, and Charlotte had to cancel the game because 1 out of 200 COVID tests came back positive, and they did some contact tracing, and they didn't have an O-line. They could not field a full 2 deep depth O-line, so I had to cancel the game against UNC.
And that was they wanted to play UNC. Like, that was
right.
That's of us finally getting Georgia on the schedule, and then being like, and not that they cancel, that Georgia cancels, and we can make fun of them the entire time. Like, bunch of sickos over there can't even play a game of football, and no, they had to back out.
You just try to amend the rules, and you say like, hey, how about we just do a nationally televised 7-on-7?
Yeah, exactly, 3-on-3.
Your boys
flag or we still tackling on 7-on-7?
They probably didn't have enough for even 7-on-7. But so they've had an extra couple weeks to prepare. So that backup quarterback has had more time to get familiar with everything. If Chris Reynolds, their starting quarterback, is another week to get healthy, I don't know.
No real game snaps, though. You say it like it's a positive thing, but no real game snaps means a lot. So
I agree. I agree definitely. But I'm just
quad last year versus quad this year. No game snaps last year. You wasn't that great this year.
They clearly didn't trust quad last year. I mean, and they didn't let him do a whole lot, and now they do trust him more. And
he'd seen the atmosphere, so that's
he was a true freshman last year, and so maybe Dan getting injured was the best thing for him to actually get a chance to see what it's like there on the field and be able to think about that and process that when he's in the classroom trying to figure out what's going to happen. I don't know. He did great on Saturday, so this other kid has played football. This is his third school, but it's been a lower level football. Something FBS.
I hope
we're in trouble. He's played football.
Sure.
I'm saying it's not been playing FBS football. He was at
I know. I just meant
I thought we were just recruiting these guys off the lacrosse team. Good, they can start me.
So, going into the season, this was a game I think that we were all nervous about. Charlotte seemed to be doing a little bit better, and they were predicted to win this game in like the preseason ranking predictions I saw. The line has moved to Georgia State -1 on the game. We're a 1-point favorite in the game. How are you feeling with this game? Like, how are you
to do it? You just want me to?
Right. Well, here's what I hear. I want to hear how your opinions changed from Friday to Sunday of last week.
Oh no, I had given Charlotte absolutely zero thought before Sunday. Well, really before today. Nowish. So
24-hour period is elapsed, right? And you're allowed to start thinking about the opponent.
I mean, I could, but I have other stuff I got to do during the week. But I do think that we will win by 10 at least.
That was my prediction as well. Justin, since you actually pay attention to the team you supposedly support and love, how do you feel about we saw Charlotte played well against App. They've lost their quarterback. They have some COVID scares. Georgia State, all question marks, but a lot of those question marks got big answers on Saturday. Has your opinion about this game changed from the beginning of the season to now?
Yes. You said they lost their quarterback. They've got an unexperienced quarterback. What we found out last week is we have a secondary that can shut things down. The coverage we saw last week was NFL quality by Quay just jumping up and hitting things. It looks – I mean, against an actual NFL receiver, it wouldn't be, but, like, it was that close coverage, that tight.
Ryan, on a fan podcast, that's how you answer a question. You come out there and say, this team is about to go take on the Cleveland Browns and bring home a win.
Yeah.
I guess. Oh, he's like Quad Brown is Dan Ellington 2.0, and our secondary is shut down like an NFL team. I'm like,
Did you say Quay White jumping, just tossing these balls everywhere? I mean, yeah, they didn't get a pick, but if you wanted
balls
everywhere. Yeah, no. There was real tight coverage, and every time they tried, they snuck a couple in, but when they were trying to throw it into tight coverage, blocked. Yeah, we didn't get the pick, but if they could catch, they'd be receivers. I say it every time.
Damn. No, I'm with you on that. I'm absolutely with you on that. When people are all upset with secondary people for like missing an interception, but they blocked the damn pass, I'm like, no. They
That's their job.
Number one job, which is to stop that play from happening. Their number one job is not to intercept the ball.
Yeah, the ball's not being thrown to them.
Exactly.
I mean, if it is, that's great, but the ball's not being – they have a whole different mindset when they're going out there is to keep up and keep this guy from catching the ball.
Yep. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, I'd rather see him slap the ball down than try to catch it because I've seen people try to catch it before, and usually that –
right through.
That means the other team catches it.
Tip it up and the other team. Yeah, I feel good about this game. So Ryan's got a 10-point pick. I did a 10-point not pick, but win. What do you got, Justin? What are you thinking?
2 scores.
14. All right.
Maybe 14, maybe more than 10. So
More than 10.
I can see 2 field goals. I can see
13. So you're 13.
2 solid scores. Yep.
I like it. Yeah, I'm feeling comfortable this game. That is the problem with Georgia State, though. As soon as we start feeling comfortable about something, that's when we come out and we get blanked, right? That's
I don't know. Like, I look at the ESPN numbers a lot of the time, and it seems like if it's 50-50, like it is on this one, we'll win. If it's like snowball's chance in hell, we'll pull one out. If it's Georgia State's 80% to win this game.
Well, wait, are we on national TV? Because that's the kicker.
This one might be ESPNU, so kind of.
You. Oh, shit. Yeah. Oh, I might be down
it's
to
national, but you got to pay extra for it.
So you're changing your score. We're going to lose by 3 now?
No, I'm not. We're going to win by 10 or more.
I think so. Do we ever have a big lead? Is this going to be a game where we're up by 24 and they claw back and we win by 10? Or is this a game where we just kind of we score a couple of times, they score, we return kind of thing? It's probably a high scoring game. We're probably looking at another game in the high 20s, 30s again, right?
I see it as kind of a back and forth where we just kind of grow the disparity, like one of those where it'll be back and forth, then we'll block one and get one, and just kind of slowly creep away type of deal. It's hard to tell because a lot of teams have adjusted well to us in the halftime, so it's nice to have that lead, but I don't see just a straight runaway either way.
I think if our defense can show up, you're wrong.
I mean,
that's obviously like the Madden answer. If our defense stops them from scoring points, then they won't score that many points. But like if they show up like they did before, I mean, Louisiana's a really good team. So obviously, I have a lot more respect for them after this weekend because this is the second time I've called them Louisiana in this podcast, and I'm appalled at myself. But obviously, there's a lot more respect for him in that, and
I may have to demote you. I'm going to demote you to bottom screen on the podcast. So I'm going to put you in the flex position there. So yeah, I think so. We're all predicting Charlotte does not win this game this week. That Georgia State wins relatively convincingly for the first one of the season. I think that. Well, looking at the Panther Talk score prediction, I think maybe one person had like a 3-point win or something, but almost everybody was calling like a double-digit win in the game. Like everyone had a lot of faith in what
did the Charlotte people think?
Was that?
What did the Charlotte, like when you were on the Charlotte podcast, what did they think?
There was 2 other guys, and one of them, I mean, hey guys, go listen to their podcast. Don't take my word for everything, but let's say one of the guys disagreed with me exactly. I said we win by 10. He says they win by 10, and another guy said they win by a field goal. So I mean, I think all relatively
the homer pick. That's fine.
Homer pick in every case. So
when the homer says we win by a field goal, they're sweating it.
Yeah,
and they should be. It did seem like one of the guys was more of the avid hardcore, and the other was more of the realistic. Like, come on, guys, we're 2 of the worst programs in all of college football, so let's not get a little carried away here, But yeah, so yeah, we've gone about 45 minutes now. Let's go ahead and wrap up the. We'll talk about the last games, the games in the Sun Belt, and that's what I want to talk about. Georgia State stuff. Other games: UAB at South Alabama. UAB's favored by 7. Campbell's just making their way through the entire Sun Belt. I think they're really trying to position themselves to get pumped up to the FBS level. They're playing at Appy.
Have you seen their stadium? There's no way they're pumping themselves up to FBS level.
So when we played Campbell, the last time I remember us playing Campbell, that was like our second year, maybe our first year. I forget. Probably second. I watched it and the streaming service they had from their website. I streamed it to my TV, and I had my 55-inch TV, and I swear to God, it was about a 1 foot diameter inside. Like my entire TV was black, like 1 foot diameter of the screen I could actually see, and it was the most horrible video quality I've ever seen in my life.
Well, you could see like the cars through the chain link fence.
Yeah, they didn't even have like bleachers or stuff. It was just like everyone standing around watching the game.
Yeah, it's a high school game.
Yeah, so it'd be like Coastal Carolina.
Like not a good high school game.
But yeah, so Campbell's playing at Appalachian State. That will probably give Appy a little bump feeling a little better about themselves.
Unless, of course, they lose. Jesus, man.
Yeah, I mean, Southern only beat them by a point. Tulsa, Arkansas State. Arkansas State's favored. UTEP at Monroe. I put Monroe favored, but I think I got that wrong. That's got to be UTEP being favored in that game.
There's no way.
And then
but the other one too, Tulsa and who? And you said
Arkansas State at Tulsa at Arkansas.
And you said Arky is
2.5 point favorite.
Yeah, at Arkansas State, I can believe that.
Yeah, well, they're carrying that big Kansas State win behind their belt because they had their last game canceled. I think it was Memphis got canceled last week, so people still think they're good. They'll find out.
That's what they scheduled though. Kansas, Memphis, then Tulsa.
Kansas State, Memphis, then Tulsa. But those are, I'm pretty sure every one of those, maybe not Memphis, were makeup games when the schedule started falling apart.
That's quite a schedule.
Yeah, strength of schedule for a Sun Belt team there.
Yeah, that's pretty good, man. I mean, I'm impressed with them.
Yeah, I wish we would have been more aggressive about scheduling some games. We could be talking about the fourth game of our season right now instead of talking about our second game of the season.
Yeah. No,
we scheduled Alabama. Right. That's pretty aggressive.
Yeah, some of the Sun Belt schools were incredibly aggressive. Appalachian State was one of those. Was really aggressive. They had games scheduled and then backed out again. Like they had gotten Wake Forest on there, so which I know was a big game they wanted to get scheduled. Rounded it out. Texas State's at Boston College. Boston College is a huge favorite, which I'm not sure that's right. I'm not a betting guy because I don't have a bookie because I haven't looked for a bookie because I would lose a lot of money. But 17.5 point favorites, Boston College. I think the Texas State team is actually a lot better this season. I don't think that Boston College wins by 17.5.
What you're not taking into account is Matt Ryan found an extra year of eligibility, and he's actually, doubling up. He's going back.
Well, so if the game is scheduled, if they do the line
up Texas State by a lot,
then we'll see how it goes. And then the last game is Troy at number 18 BYU. BYU's favored by 14. There's a lot of people calling Troy upset on this game.
I mean, I'll take it. I don't know anything about BYU, but I'm not sad to hear them lose for many of the same reasons as other programs. But yeah, I'll Troy all day. Right? What?
Separation of church and sports.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So, and then finally, Southern takes off to go visit our friends down south or down out southwest in Lafayette. So, Southern Lafayette. Lafayette is a 13.5 point favorite in the game.
Good. Yeah. Ooh la la. Put it on them. Put it on them.
That's after we exposed Lafayette. Like they'd probably be like a 24 point favorite had they not played us already.
It's also after Campbell exposed Georgia Southern.
Yeah, Campbell exposed Georgia Southern. Yeah, exactly.
Well, what's funny is that it's a 13 point after we exposed Ulala, which is great.
Exactly.
It's even better. It's even more of like insult to injury.
Yep.
I agree. All right. I want to give a big apology this week out to the other Georgia State teams. I want to make sure that we keep track of how our other teams are doing, not just football and basketball. And we had some women's soccer, men's soccer, women's cross country, volleyball all played last week. And I didn't give any shout outs to that. So men's soccer is 1-0. Women's soccer is now 2-1. Volleyball is 1-1. All three of those teams have beaten Mercer. So Mercer. That's awesome, right? Yeah. Get rid of that city altogether.
I am drunk enough that I want to say something that I will wait for.
All right. Well, we have last call coming up, and you need to be sober enough to remember what you were going to say.
Should I just notepad it? Just put it in notepad.
And then also women's cross country had to meet. So we have some winning teams already going on in the other sports. This coming up week, we got more men's soccer. Women's soccer hosts Southern. So on Sunday, that sucks. Volleyball is going to be at Troy. Women's cross country doesn't play again or doesn't run again until October. But shout out to all the other teams. My apologies for not acknowledging you guys. I want to make sure that we do that every week. Even if we don't spend a lot of time talking about the sports, it's great for Georgia State to win in all the sports, not just the football and basketball games.
We're just so excited. Like seriously, it's really.
We waited all this time for something, and I mean honestly. if I would have realized that, if soccer or something had started sooner, I probably would have done a lot of stuff about it. But yeah, that's my fault. All on me.
So
man, soccer's coming off a good season. They were right up there in the championship last year.
Yeah,
close game. I think I remember watching that one on the Plus.
Unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about right now, I have some things I want to talk about in last call. If anybody wants to join us in last call, put a comment in the comment section there, and I'll try to catch it. I missed it last time for a couple people, or message one of us if you have our info. But yeah, you guys have anything else you want to talk about tonight?
I was going to say, maybe while we let a couple more of those come in, if anybody wants to come to last call, I was going to say, I saved myself for Georgia State. I didn't watch any football, none, until Georgia State played Ooh La La, and then I watched the freaking Falcons.
Anyway, you realize we're not on last call yet, because that's probably going to be a lot of the conversation.
I said frickin', and then we can talk about it in proper terms for last call. But I saved myself for Georgia State, and then
Well, you had a good little showing there. It was good for a while,
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I'm just impressed I made it all the way through without having to leave, so that's a plus. I can show up from work more often.
Exactly.
You guys haven't noticed there's absolutely no alcohol in this because I am
right now on not drinking during the show because you're actually you're working for us, so not for us, but for the collective of us, I guess, and everything. All right. That's it. Yeah, so we got a couple people that want to get on to last call. I'll make sure to get a link sent out to you guys because I asked Tim to do that if he was here because he would do it without bothering me. And if I ask Ryan, he will whine incessantly. So thanks, everybody, for watching, for listening. I'll be sending out a link with my interview with the Minor Obsession podcast. We talk a lot about the game coming up, everything. I'm looking forward to doing this all again next week. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And go Panthers.
Bye, y'all.
Go Panthers. Cheers.